StarCast, the StarCraft podcast, is a production of AMove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for other great esports and video game podcasts. Want to support StarCast? Check out our sponsors over at doghousesystems.com, makers of some of the best gaming systems out there. If you use the code StarCast at checkout, you will get double memory on your next Doghouse system and support StarCast directly in the process. That same code, StarCast, will get you 30% off and free shipping over at tweakedaudio.com. They make high-performance, noise-reducing earbuds. We'd like to thank our sponsors for their support of StarCast, and if you'd like to sponsor an episode directly, you can do so at thestarcast.com.
It's about damn time for StarCast.
Incoming transmission.
Biscuit.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to StarCast, episode 180. I am Garrett Weinzorl, and I am joined, as I always am, by Mr. Kyle. I always forget your middle name, Ferguson.
I don't know why you go for it, but hey, how's it going, Garrett?
It's going really well, actually. I just got an email from Blizzard saying that one of my shows has been nominated for their Stream Awards, which I didn't even know was a thing. I guess it's the first time they're doing it. It is sadly not this show, but it is one of them. It's the Angry Chicken. So go over to the Blizzard forums and vote for the Angry Chicken. I'm really excited. I promised myself I will not derail the start of StarCast with excited Angry Chicken Hearthstone talk, but I can't help it.
Yeah, you kind of have to. I mean, you guys just got your open beta. The show was just amazing. I love it. I agree with Jocelyn probably more than the two Richies on the show, but
yes, we've had many conversations that sound vaguely political when we discuss it. You were like, well, you guys are like the 1% with your legendaries, and I'm down here with the 99% with no damn
1%
dust.
has all the dust.
Yeah. But if you're interested in supporting the AMove TV show that has been nominated for Blizzard Stream Awards, you can go to the official forums and go under the section for the Best Community Channel 2013, and we're right up at the very top, AMove TV, Angry Chicken, for the Hearthstone IP. So any votes at all, we would just be so happy if we won. But first of all, we're up there with some juggernauts. I really don't think we have a chance in hell. But that being said, I'm still going to try for it. So please go vote. I believe you have until the 5th to get your votes cast. And everyone who votes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Now,
an empowering and humbling experience, but I am absolutely just thrilled to pieces for you and honored to be a part of this network that we started together 4 years ago.
Yeah, kind of nuts. This is it. I feel like you're cloaking in that video from last week where he's like, yeah, you know those games that are really big? Yeah, that's from us. And then the Dota sign slowly creeps up. I feel like you're going to do that with the Angry Chicken. But like, StarCast was here first. Angry Chicken.
Yeah, like in the background, Angry Chicken.
Just so you know. But me and Garrett's for sure are going to kind of kick that all off. Yeah.
Hey, I can't complain because I'm excited about future projects coming up for us. The Angry Chicken, I get to listen to it, and I love it, and it takes some of my work time, from my week. And you know what? I'm not going to listen to my own opinions because I already know them because I made them. So it's a delight to get to listen to.
I'm glad to hear that. And also, you can rest easy every time you beat me because
you're playing too much Hearthstone and I play some StarCraft?
Yes. No, I was mostly talking about Hearthstone and
okay.
The discussion we were just having previously where you're just like, well, you have all the good cards because you bought them. I've got what I'm stuck with, and I can still kick your ass.
Well, God, I had 3 quests to play a shaman last night and just somehow made the most amazing shaman deck and schooled all night. It was great. But that's not what we're here to talk about. It's time to rein back in, Garrett.
Yep, bring it in.
All right.
So, anyways, getting into the news this week. Now, I feel like for the month since we came back, after the Christmas break, it's been nothing but league distribution. Every week, we've got a story at the top of the show about how league distribution is working out, especially since 2.1 dropped, and supposedly the league distribution was changed around to be closer to the way it used to be prior to Heart of the Swarm. So to that, I asked Kyle, Mr. Mr. Ladderer. How's it going for you? Have you noticed a difference?
I have, because I played 2 games and got promoted to silver. I'm happy to be out of there. I'm a little sad still, I feel like I'm going to go forward, of course. I want to get back into platinum. I didn't play over the holidays, so I fell into the trap that everyone did, slowly making their way down to bronze. And now that the system is working, and it does work, and it's amazing. Like, the bronze people I played to get out of bronze were very, very bronze. I was impressed, but I may have been a bit of a dick. I may have had a bit more fun than I should have, and I think that's why I got promoted so quickly, too.
Yeah.
Gotcha. At one point, I challenged myself to make a guy's Marine army be more changelings than actually his own army. So when he rolled towards me, I knew half of them were fake, and I knew exactly where his army was.
That's amazing.
It was pretty. I actually
wow.
Brought in the overseers into the back of his base so that the chainlings would walk from his base down the ramp into his natural, where his army was gathering.
I am so very sad that you don't stream. I want to see this. Why don't you stream, goddammit?
Because I have a hard time sitting still. If this was my job, it's like I could sit and stream and be like, hey, 3 hours, here we go. Hell yeah. But you know what? I want to get up. I want to have a drink. I want to scratch my butt.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've been playing a lot this week too. I mean, if you're a longtime listener, you know that I'm not one for the 1v1 ladder. I do a lot of team games with my friends. We have our teams and we go, and we've been doing really well. That being said, I had some really fun games with some friends I haven't played with in a long time this past week. I've been playing. It's nothing but all my 2v2s. Everyone I play with is now playing Zerg, regardless of whatever they used to play.
Huh.
So it's been
interesting.
Zerg 2v2s all week. Because when you and I play with you, that's what we play. And now I was playing with this random friend who used to play Terran, and he's Zerg now. But I got bored one day, and none of my friends were around. I was like, I'm gonna see what the random teams scene is like. I haven't played random teams in a while. Let's go into 3v3 and let's just see what happens. And there are people with pants on their head playing StarCraft, man. I don't know what is going on. But I had one dude attack a teammate, kill my own hatchery.
Huh.
Because I refused to let the break down one of the destructible rocks to block off the ramp. I'm like, well, dude, first off, you're Zerg. Secondly, I'm Zerg. Having a blocked off ramp is terrible. I don't know what you're thinking. And I'm being polite, and I'm just letting him know, hey, that's a really bad idea. So he breaks it down. So I'm like, dude, they're coming. We really need to break this down. So I break it down, and he starts screaming at me in all caps and proceeds to attack my hatchery.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never had that happen in StarCraft. I mean, at least to begin with, because, getting your base set up and breaking down some destructible rocks, like, that's pretty early on, wasn't it? I've had situations where they've raged on me because I'm Zerg, and I've had a fabulous, wonderful, booming economy, but not a single bit of army when they showed up. And that, I think, you can be accused for.
Right, exactly.
Certainly, that's some like MOBA style trolling you were doing.
Yeah, and then I left the game because it was pointless at that point, and he proceeded to follow me into a whisper in all caps, yelling at me.
Wow.
Yeah, he wouldn't let up. I haven't met one of these jackasses in a long time.
No, I've had a dude, that happens a lot in 1v1s, of course, because it's personal, it's just you and that guy, but that's insane in a 3v3. Even in a 2v2, sure, accuse your teammate, be nice, absolutely, if you can be, but it's just you and him. When you get into threes, that's a bit ridiculous. I would have to agree, though, that if you're going to make a 2v2 team and you're thinking about, like, synergies, double Zerg is kind of the way to go, because you both have creep, and both kind of tech routes are extremely effective. If one person covers ground, one person has air, like, you are good to go. You do that with Protoss, and the air guy is probably going to be crap. Well, he can mass void raise, but if he gets anything else in his mind beyond that, he's insane. If he builds a carrier or a Tempest, he's an idiot.
The second 3v3 game I went into had a Protoss teammate who went just straight Stargate Void Ray and just got rolled over by a 2 medevac drop.
Nice. Well done.
So
Marines kind of deal with that.
Yeah, I'm done not playing with friends. This is like I now have the same StarCraft creed that I have for Dota. Don't play alone. It's
fair enough.
A bad experience right now. So getting back into the league distribution, the community manager for StarCraft, Spirian, got up on the forums this week and made an official statement saying that we've been monitoring league movement closely, and while we've definitely seen some progress, the league boundary changes we made with the patch aren't producing the results we're after just yet. We're going to keep a close eye on league data over the next few days and continue to make adjustments. So mirroring what everyone is screaming at the top of their lungs in a rabble-rousing angry mob on the official forums, but in blue type and a lot more calm.
Yeah, well, I saw a change. We're kind of screwing it up for him right now. I feel like they fixed it, but because they fixed it, a lot of people who weren't playing came back. So actually, if you look at the statistics from this past week, bronze got bigger because more people got on and played, and guess what? Those people were in bronze, and they need to work their way out. So you still have a problem, which I think will fix itself in time just fine.
Well, yeah. I mean, what you just described there doesn't sound like a problem. If they're just Bronze League players, that they're new and there's just a bunch of people playing, then...
Well, I'm not saying that, like, the patch 2.1 has brought in new players who played the arcade and then decided to buy the game. I'm not sure that's happening quite.
Okay, you're saying it brought back old players who are rusty.
Exactly.
Okay, well, that's still not a problem. I mean, if you're rusty and you were playing at a bronze level, then whatever. I don't know. I revert back to my statement before Christmas break where I said, well, none of it really matters. If the MMR still works and you're still being matched up against opponents of similar skill, at the end of the day, that's what we really want.
Exactly. And the problem was that bronze was not representative of that skill. What I saw last night and what I battled against was representative, and I'm happy to be out of there for their sakes. I had a great time, though.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you did. Freaking army of changeling. That's amazing.
It's been interesting to see the reaction to patch 2.1 because there's been a lot of, there's been Wired articles and a lot of just kind of general gaming sites covering that Blizzard has put this out.
Yeah, there's a really good article on Polygon, one of my favorite gaming websites.
Yeah, talking about the tools they gave and all the things you can play. And heck, I've heard it talked about, on other podcasts as well. Right. So it's cool to see people in there. It's funny that people thought this was going to be like one of the big moves for something like Starbow. But in fact, Starbow's completely disappeared off the top 25 custom maps. And guess what's launched into the top 10? It's 1v1 OBS, which is the game itself. What you play on the ladder without the ladder. And even that kind of has like a ranking system in it that you can play enough games and get some points. So every time you load it up, it shows how many points you had and you can match people of similar skill. But a lot of people are playing that right now.
Gotcha. So someone basically made a mod but didn't actually change anything and just had the regular maps in it. And
yeah, well, it took a lot of work because when you get in there, you get to do things like betting. So there's 8 slots and only 2 people are going to play at a time. And they select the map loads, and everyone's looking at the same map, and then you get to watch those people play. And you can bet points and have a good time and chat with the other observers. And then when their game is over, it randomly picks. And I think you can have a setting where whoever kind of won the betting points gets to play next.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. More on 2.1. The first big extension mod that's getting a lot of attention is, of course, GameHeart, which is officially live as of this week. GameHeart, if you've been listening, or if you're in the know about observer interfaces in StarCraft, it's the most popular, really. They had a successful, was it an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter? I don't even remember which crowdfunding platform they used, but they had a very successful crowdfunding campaign. And we here on this show are big fans of GameHeart. Because that was what who was the first DreamHack, I think, was the first big major tournament to start using the GameHeart UI, and I don't even remember what episode it was, but if you go back and listen to that, we're both kind of gushing over it. But so it's there, and we have a link in the show notes over on amove.tv if you're listening to this via podcast. If you're listening live, they're not up yet, but it's right there. It has the download. It teaches and then there's a YouTube video showing exactly how to use it if you haven't used it before. So big thanks to everyone on Reddit who made that information easily available and findable. So
there's also a really cool mod that's still in development that I was seeing called Salt, and it is a build order. It's exactly what I was talking about a couple weeks ago about, having a build order in your ladder game. You can't use extension mods in the ladder, but all the same, people are making some pretty cool stuff with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I wish you could have build orders displayed on ladder.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
You
But
still got to have the skill to do it, so I don't think it's that big of a... Well, I guess it is. It'd be a tiny bit of an issue because of the staleness that would arise out of it, because eventually it would always be, well, this is the correct one no matter what, and...
well, I mean, that happens already.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not so much nowadays, but I don't know. Whatever. There's definitely builds of the week. Maybe not a bronze. I feel like it's Cannon Rush and Six Pull all the time, but...
You shouldn't be paying attention to the meta at all below gold.
Right. I would even argue that maybe even Platinum is giving it too much credit, although maybe not now with the league distribution. So there is that. Go get Game Heart. Cool stuff. Speaking of Starbow, just giving a quick shout out. If you head over to the daily.com, actually spell out dot and then put an actual dot and then write com, and you'll get to the correct site. But they have a good interview with the creator of Starbow. There's a lot of good stuff in here. I'm surprised it hasn't stayed in the top of the custom maps.
People who aren't following StarCraft consistently don't really see what it's bringing to the table.
Well, that's
it's.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's a good point. And I would argue a lot of people who are StarCraft 2 fans and aren't really familiar with Brood War also are kind of in that boat.
Right, and we weren't Brood War fans, but certainly over the years we've heard a lot about Brood War and why it was so good. And I mean, there's some things happening, right? I mean, in Korea there is a resurgence of Brood War again, as people are kind of making their way back to that. Yeah. So I continue to appreciate Starbow, even if I'm not the biggest fan of making that game the new esport. I appreciate, like we saw in the 2.1 video, Blizzard saying, hey, it's not always Warcraft 3, it's the games that were made in it that got to be so big.
Right, exactly.
But I'm not really too concerned about Starbow doing that. I'm more just appreciative of Starbow because it gave us a place to think about these kind of changes.
Right, that's a very good point. And one of the things that came out of this interview that I really liked is he talks about that one of the really cool things that came out of Starbow was the fact that it was an interesting concept to both StarCraft 2 fans and Brood War fans, and that it does bridge this gap. And that was something
right.
that was a point I don't feel like we brought up 2 weeks ago when we were talking about Starbow.
Well,
it is really cool.
And the guy's really humble about it, and he saw the explosion, but is still kind of confused. But, he seems like he has his head in the right place to continue working on it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So go check it out. Again, it's over at thedaily.com. In other big news this week, the Esports Federation, ESF, has disbanded, leaving us with Kespa as the only big overreading body in Korean StarCraft esports.
Well, StarCraft 2.
StarCraft 2, sorry. Yes. Brood War is coming back, apparently, in force, but it's like at a grassroots level, but it's already seeping back into the pro scene.
Yeah, there's been quite a few casts, and of course they're all in Korean right now. We don't really have any English representation of those right now. So I keep coming across Brood War videos and being like, cool, this is where I finally get to see the Brood War that I wanted. Wait, is this like 5 years old, or is this brand spanking new? I have no idea. So we're just going to have to wait until GSL does their Brood War event until I can get some, true English casting of that. But
is that confirmed as having English casting? Because I couldn't find that information anywhere.
I guess that's true. We haven't seen that officially, but I'm just making an assumption because Tasteless has been streaming Brood War that he's getting himself unrusty.
Well, that tinfoil hat is constructed out of the thinnest tinfoil of all of the theories you have.
Right, because Tasteless is also going to be casting professional Battletoads, so it all works out.
Yeah, I'm saying you have quite a bit more facts to stand on than some of your kookier theories. But the other thing that this means, first of all, this is just sad because this was I was rooting for ESF because when it was formed, this was all of the GOM teams. The
Yeah.
teams that were playing in the GSL when Pro League first switched over to StarCraft 2, and I was like, nah, man, Team GSL, screw Pro League.
Well, and Kespa was like the grumpy Gus who wouldn't move on.
Yes, exactly. They were the old man on the front porch with a shotgun.
So ESF disbands because the rising popularity in League of Legends and the Dota 2 scene over there, which is what you hear about in the PC Bang cafes. And then the grassroots revival of Brood War, like we talked about, as well as they closed the global StarCraft 2 Team League, which is what ESF was predominantly doing.
Yeah, the GSTL is gone now. I'm not happy about this at all.
GOM TV wants to diversify and have more games like World of Tanks in their lineup and not post videos correctly.
Are we allowed to say, like, are people going to hate on us if we say World of Tanks is dumb and we don't get it? I really think that game is dumb as shit. I don't like it. And I don't get it.
It's like Tank Smite, yeah. I know a lot of people like Smite, so I don't. There's probably people listening that like Smite and hate World of Tanks, or vice versa.
Yeah, I don't know.
So maybe
well,
putting those
Smite
in
is
the
very
same
much
box.
like Dota, but it's third person instead of isometric.
Right, but you're still dealing with a team, and you have to communicate with them, and then you're playing Angry Birds because you have to angle tank shots.
Yeah.
Either way, the idea of more World of Planes doesn't excite me either.
No. Well, then let's move on. This just sucks. I'm not happy about this at all.
And it's sad when representation goes down to a single individual. That's scary. Monopolies are scary.
Yeah,
Companies.
absolutely. I'll tell you what's not scary is this rumor that's been going around this week that Marine King Prime might be returning to StarCraft 2. And I'm trying so very hard not to get like too hopeful about this. There's two barriers here in my excitement. I'm trying not to get too excited because he just might not come back. And then if he does come back, I'm trying not to get excited because he might still totally suck. I don't know.
If he prepares well, because we saw, my big player, Dong Regu, do just awful in the beginning of Hard the Swarm because mainly Widow Mines. And it seemed like Marine King was also having some failings towards the end of Wings of Liberty, but mainly those sort of problems that Dong Regu was having is what kept Marine King down before he left for League of Legends.
Which is so strange when you look at how Terran is played right now. You would think if Marine King had stuck with it, he'd just be printing money.
Well, you even messaged me this week and were like, man, I can't wait. Maybe Marine King's coming back. He's going to innovate the scene. And I was like, well, wait a minute. It's kind of all Marines right now. I don't think he's going to change much if he
I
comes.
didn't say he was going to innovate the scene. You made the joke like, yeah, he's really going to innovate things. I was just like, hey, to give him credit, the bio-heavy fad was kind of first started with him.
Yeah.
Those all-Marine games, hence his name.
And certainly some of our more aggressive drop play came from him. So I was excited to see what he could do with the boosted Medevac. And then he left really soon after Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah,
so.
to leave for League of Legends, which clearly my favorite game next to StarCraft 2. I'm a huge fan. You're very aware of this.
Right, yeah. All our spin-off shows for League of Legends and World of Tanks just lining up here. But, he's a young kid, and if I was young and I had the choice between playing an extremely stressful game by myself or competing in a team where I could kind of keep my my ego intact at that young, crucial age, I think I might go play with some friends.
Yeah, it's a very good point. It's a very good point.
And you always have to worry about, the Korean military service and all that, so hurry up and come back if you're gonna.
Yes, I will welcome him back with
arms wide open.
With open arms made out of nothing but Marines.
Under the sunlight.
Really? That's where we're going? That's where you're going with this, Kyle?
You don't have to get on this train. I'm just riding it.
I don't want to ride it. I don't want to ride that train. Any train with Creed on it is not a train for me. So, all right. So you put this under drama of the week. This week, and I feel like this is slightly misleading because this has been a good week. There's been no stupid dramas.
No, it's actually been
no
extremely
big ones.
Drama-free. But I think that's because everyone's too busy because WCS is really kicking off. The Challenger League is in full swing, and next week we're really going to hit the ground running with our Code S's and our Premier Leagues.
Yep, Absolutely. But anyways, we're going to talk about IEM, which announced a winner-take-all $100,000 prize pool for its StarCraft event. Which, Kyle, do you want to make more like, similar to our Hearthstone discussion at the top of the show, do you want to make more like thinly veiled political statements that somehow actually work with esports?
Political statements. I could make a lot. I watched the whole State of the Union address. I could just go on, but I'm not going to. So this was announced this week, and a lot of players are really upset. So I would call this our sort of, but not really drama, and this has been happening for a long time, so let's discuss it anyway. Drama of the week.
Okay.
So IEM announces that they're going to do this $100,000 winner-take-all event. And a conversation that's been going around for quite a while now is StarCraft 2 top-heavy? It's expensive to fly around. It's hard to participate in a lot of these events. In order for sponsors to sponsor events, they want the viewers. And in order to bring in the viewers, you grab all the best players and bring them to an invitational, because that's going to be cheaper than doing something big like your MLGs or something like Challenger League. I mean, look how many people. Like last night, I watched a guy called Too Drunk or Drunken Man or something like. I was just like, wow. And yet then I see a name like Dong Ragu, and I'm like, well, of course, that's a professional name right there. Drunken Man. Way to have a cheesy name. But, you know, you have a lot of these people who want to take part in the scene. And so the question has come up with an event like this, kind of highlighting it. Can StarCraft support a middle-class player? There's going to be people who, of course, do local tournaments and are just getting going. But in order to have a truly blossoming scene, you need a lot of people supporting it and competing in it. And you need underdogs that are going to have the big stories eventually. Are we just continuing to foster the best of the best that compete here? And would you even enter, if you were a pro player, a $100,000 winner-take-all tournament? Would you bust your buns for the possibility that you will get nothing?
I don't. I have a really hard time talking about this, because the StarCraft I enjoy is the StarCraft with the best freaking players. I don't. There's a reason people aren't lining up to watch me stream StarCraft. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right. Sort of.
What? I don't know. Like, I don't understand the expectation for less than upper echelon players to be making a living from a professional competition.
No, I feel you exactly.
Like, I'm not even trying to play devil's advocate. I'm confused by this concept entirely. I'm like, well, yeah, if you're really good at it, you should be making the most money and getting the best spots in the big tournaments.
Right. The argument more comes from the layer below that, which is if these people continue to get all the exposure, how can a new up-and-coming player who has all the skills but doesn't get the opportunity to compete support himself so he can go full-time? And that's really what it comes down to, is the ability to go full-time is just such a huge asset to you being incredible at this game, that
right.
Getting more people fully paid playing this game is going to make the scene better.
Yeah, absolutely. And chat room, I'm not saying that I'm not cheering on the underdogs. One of the best. The reason MLG, I feel like, became as big as it is now is when Wings of Liberty came out and we started having the big competitions at MLG. There was a massive open bracket, and if you made it all the way through that open bracket, you had a chance at making it into the finals on the main stage. And we saw players do that, and that was some of the sickest, most insane storylines in the history of StarCraft 2.
Right. I mean, you can just start listing people, but Scarlet, for one, just kind of showed up and took it to the main stage.
Leenock.
Yeah. Kid who, was having trouble getting out of Kodae in Korea, flew over here for an MLG and just dominated. Like twice in a row?
Yeah. No, that was the 2011 Winter Finals, I think. He came in from the open bracket and won the whole damn thing. He was 15 at that point, I think. It's like ridiculous. Nowadays you look at Leadock and you're like, wait, underdog? Come on. But back then, he kind of
big
was.
Money player showing up, yeah. We forget pretty quickly.
Yes, MLG did get big because of Halo as well, but this isn't a first-person shooter show. Calm down, chat room. And it wasn't as big. It was StarCraft was.
And I have been corrected in the chat room as well. I was referring to Drunken Boy, and I think the majority of my problem with his name comes from the boy and not so much the drunken.
Well, if you just say it like Flavor Flav, it's not as bad. But getting back to this, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily think prize pools should just be like this. But I also don't think you should split it up evenly between a 64-player bracket.
Yeah, that's insane. And in fact, if you haven't been reading esportsexpress.com, it is a hilarious and just out of the blue. I'm sure it's been here for a while, but it seems like it just kind of exploded onto the scene suddenly with all sorts of satirical Onion-esque
It is
articles.
the Onion for esports journalism, and it is amazing.
It is fabulous. And they had an article this week that Blizzard introduces balanced prize pools where everyone gets the same amount.
Exactly. Right. And that's like the complete opposite ass end of what we're talking about here. I think the traditional way of doing things is the best way. I think we just need more tournaments that have an open bracket system.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if we had that to kind of parallel an event like this, an event like the IEM, winner take all, wouldn't be as big of a deal and wouldn't create these waves.
Right.
Am I going to watch IEM? Hell yeah. You know, it is going to be an invitational for one. So these guys may be being compensated on the side already and, you know, helping them to show up. But you know those finals are going to be badass cutthroat shows.
Yeah.
If you make it that far and you walk away with $0 or $100,000, you're going to give it your all. And I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. And I mean, it's already going on. Two of the groups have already played. And it actually is definitely it looks like a better spread of races than GSL is going to have. So if
again, an invitational.
If you don't feel like watching Protoss, this is actually the tournament for you.
Yeah, if you don't happen to be me who loves watching PVZ, I'm going to have the best season ever.
Of GSL you're talking about? Yeah,
if you're a Terran fan, you have, like 3 days to enjoy? Who knows? In GSL fashion, the three could be our three finalists, you know? All Terran all the time. You had your moment.
God, I hope so. It's the most fun to watch mirror matchup. It's a fact.
What, PvP?
No, TVT.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah, like I've said, between watching the ridiculous guys rolling on the floor knife fight that is ZVZ, and then
but there's only one knife. They don't both have knives.
Right, yeah. But it's like totally like Band of Brothers, like creepy fighting where they're both like trying to work the one knife towards each other and they're like drool falling from their mouth. You know, it's like really gritty, intense. They're covered in dirt and blood.
I'm so happy you brought up Band of Brothers. That's amazing.
And then PvP, like that's just who made the first mistake in this perfect build order.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, ZVZ is kind of the same way, except it's like who misclicked their Zergling into the Baneling first.
Yep. You know, TVT does have a tendency to be a bit more interesting.
Final thoughts on this, though, I guess. One or two of these, I don't think is a big deal. I think having something like this, it's a burst of energy. It sets itself apart from the rest of the tournaments. It puts a lot more weight behind who actually wins. I'm okay with it. I don't want all tournaments to be like this. God, no, that would be terrible.
Yeah.
But one every now and then isn't going to kill the scene. So there's my calm down, everyone, closing statement on IEM's prize pool. And
I was listening to Death Row do one of his vlog posts about his experience with the Challenger League. Mm-hmm. And while he didn't make a ton, I think he said when he competed and got to the second level, he got $2,000, which isn't a ton of money. It's not going to support you full time, of course, but it is awesome that Blizzard is fostering a community where even the Challenger League, where you're kind of qualifying in, can get you some money.
Right. Exactly. And that is, we've been talking about the positives and negatives of WCS ever since last year's WCS was announced. Yeah. And that's definitely one of the positives.
So we're taking steps in the right direction, and I fully support this because it's going to be a badass show.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So this week, as we talk about some tournaments that have happened, not a lot of things have come to a completion that we can talk about, but one of the best things that happened was a play that we're just going to go ahead and show if you're watching live in the game between Scarlet against Minigun at the MLG Game On Invitational. Let's roll this. We'll talk about it right afterwards.
If Chad can spot the Nidus.
If Chad can spot the Nidus,
that would be gigantic. Pretty much game over.
that would be
Perhaps.
Chad. Wait, oh no, the
The
Nidus
Nidus is
starts.
going down.
Wait! Chad moving out!
Oh, the Void Ray is gonna spot it!
Oh, he sees it! Chad, turn around! Chad, he's not watching! No!
Oh, he's gonna get it.
He does get it. He's
but
gonna kill it. Is Scarlet gonna
he
get
needs to
anything through?
recharge.
What if she sends the
gets
Queen
queens-
through first?
Oh,
And
great
transfuses!
transfuses! Amazing
No!
transfuses by Scarlet.
No,
Minigun.
Chad!
Oh no! Great play by Scarlet. And that two Void Rays going down. QQ he types.
It's over. He can't win.
So for those listening via podcast, the majority of people who listen to the show, Scarlet versus Minigun. Scarlet goes to Nidus for like a killing blow, and Minigun sees it and gets a Void Ray on this Nidus, and it is seriously like it is an inch away from death. And Scarlet sends like all of her queens through first and mass transfuses this freaking Nidus, and it just starts vomiting out Hydralisks behind it, and it was the sickest play.
It is a building, and this is something I don't think I've ever seen before. I mean, you can hear the caster. He's ready for it. And
Yeah.
he said, well, it could happen if a queen comes. And what comes through? The 3 queens. And they just immediately start dishing out the heals on it, and it goes incredible, and Minigun gets rolled over by Scarlet.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
It's great to see with a game that's been out this long. I'm still seeing new shit. New
Yeah.
awesome shit. So go check that out. The VODs are available on YouTube if you go to the MLG YouTube, and we've got a link to this clip right in the show notes. So you, sir, kind of hinted at this earlier. There's just a ton of stuff going on this upcoming week.
It kind of exploded. So we have the Challenger League going on right now, but for all those, Premier League players that are waiting in the sidelines, they're quite busy. And IEM Brazil has been going on since yesterday, going to continue on through the weekend. I got to watch some of that today actually. And it's going really well. And it's cool to see like Brazil's best. And I didn't know, Brazil had their best, but hey, you learn something every day, and you get to see some of those players doing really well down there. I happened to catch Puck versus Bomber, and I talked about Bomber last week, but Bomber's got it going on right now.
Bomber's you say that like it's a new thing. Bomber has always had it going on.
Fair enough.
He's one of the most consistent players in StarCraft 2.
I guess I forget about him because he's not like an EG player that is kind of always, when you think pro player, they've done a great job with their marketing that whenever you think pro player, your mind makes its way to EG.
Yeah, it's like, oh, J-Don.
Exactly.
Right.
But hey, Bomber now sponsored by Red Bull.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, so Red Bull's got all its events going on and all these incredible things they're doing and making people jump out of space. And they're going to support Bomber.
Good.
Hand-picked him, so that's pretty sweet.
That is absolutely wonderful. Yeah, like, you look, back when StarCraft 2, when Wings of Liberty first started getting going, we had the legends, the original, like, kind of the few legends that started playing it because, Boxer was playing StarCraft Wings of Liberty before, he was injured and just couldn't play anymore. And but like I feel like if I take a step back and I let like my MKP fanboy fizzle, like and I look at the StarCraft 2 history objectively, and I think who is like the legendary player in my opinion, I think it's Bomber, because he's always knocking it out of the park.
Certainly an incredible player. When you think of like, sort of emperors or kings of the scene, your mind kind of goes to people like Nesty.
Right, but true. But that, I mean, it was his. He hasn't had like a solid win in a long time.
Exactly. When you want to like put together like the court that you would have to appeal to become a pro player, there would be Bomber and MC sitting on it.
Right, absolutely. And yes, he hasn't won nearly as many GSLs as other people. MC absolutely being one of the reigning kings. But and yes, MVP of course. But I don't know. I'm such a Bomber fan now.
What I really enjoy about Bomber right now is, like I said last week, his studying he's doing outside of the games. And when he enters, he has a very clear plan, and it's tailored exactly to his opponent. So in this game against Puck, he is just dismantling him. And in the first game here, Puck goes through 4 different mothership cores just because Bomber keeps sniping him. Runs in, grabs like a single pylon, the mothership core, and leaves. And does it 3 more times.
Yeah. Wow. Damn. So I'm looking at Group B, which finished up today. MC and TLO made it out of Group B.
Yeah.
Awesome. I haven't watched TLO in a long time. So sweet. MC didn't even drop a game because he's MC.
Well, yeah, and MC playing against Hello Kitty. I'm not very familiar with Hello Kitty. A little more badass, man. But if you become a big thing, we'll all just be like, of course, Hello Kitty, best guy, top 3 control.
Oh, come on, be nice. You should be cheering this guy on. He's in the U.S. He's on Team Fnatic. There's no reason not to love this guy.
Other than Hello Kitty.
And the fact that he plays Protoss, and I can't find it in me to play or root for a Protoss player. But
either way, his games against MC were extremely awesome because MC's got it going on, and it's awesome to see him. Just like Bomber is like textbook, and he just has that. MC just follows this sort of whimsy. I think of like Donnie Darko, like he just kind of gets up in the morning and like follows his chest bubble and just does whatever it tells him, and it works. And it's completely random. It has nothing to do with anything, but he's always gonna win.
Wonderful. So, can we talk about the preview of Code S because it's starting next week?
Oh,
was there anything else you wanted to give mention to before we dive into that?
We got the Oz, or is that how you say it, right? Oz ROG?
Asus. The people who make your damn motherboard. How hard is it to say, son?
Not my motherboard. Actually, probably yes, my motherboard. Actually, I think I have an Asus. Asus.
Yeah, I think mine is Asus. Well, it might be Corsair. I don't remember, but it's Asus.
As us ROG.
It's ROG, Republic of Gamers. It is an abbreviation. You're not allowed to say things anymore, Kyle.
That's gonna go pretty rough on a podcast. I'm sorry to inform you, Garrett. But that starts up tomorrow and runs through the weekend.
Yeah. Asus always puts on a good show.
Oh, yeah, and this is going to be, Jaedong, Tasia, Deer, Hero, Naniwa. Well, Naniwa just called out because of some health issues, which is a shame. Everyone's kind of looking at Naniwa for that winner-take-all event, though, and I'm kind of excited about seeing if he goes for it. And Life, Snoot, it's going to be a good event.
Cool. Yeah, there's a lot of big names there. Always down to watch Tasia try and get a win.
Now let's go ahead with the GSL.
All right, let's dive in. So GSL Code S is finally starting up February 5th, which is next Wednesday. I believe it'll technically be Thursday for us, given the time that it actually, happens live. But
right.
Group A is going to be playing. We got 2 Protoss, 2 Zerg, as is going to be apparently customary for quite a while.
Yeah, well, at least our Terrans are spread out, So it's not like we're going to have a TVT where it's like, no, just don't put all the eggs in one basket.
Right. Group B has 1 Terran. Group B has 1 Terran. Group F has 1 Terran.
I am so happy to see that Maru is one of these 3.
I can't believe there's 3 Terran in a 32-slot frickin' tournament. Dear God, this is ridiculous.
It's madness. We talked about this last week, but, a lot of the Terrans moved on to other regions. So, the names that we were expecting in Code S, like our Innovations and our Tasias and our MVPs, aren't competing in this particular scene.
Right.
But we have Byung and Supernova and Maru. And I've just always loved Maru's play. He plays a lot like Gumiho, which I'm just a fan of the fast style. And, hey, Maru's that cute, adorable, fat kitty. So it reminds me of that.
Gotcha. Supernova's also. I mean, all 3 of them are nuts. So, anyways, so Group A is Rain, Solar, CJ Entis Hero, not Liquid Hero, and our show favorite DRG. At this point, It's the show. I know we had that rivalry back in the day. I've rooted for MKP. You rooted for DRG. But as far as Zerg go, I'm always down with DRG, and I really don't have a Terran to root for. Period. So go DRG.
If you had to pick one to be the group of death here, which one would it be?
Oh dear God, you had to put me on the spot. I don't know.
It's pretty tough. I mean,
Yeah.
We have a group with both Curious and Roro in it. If you remember last GSL, Roro is a pretty big beast. You can never discount Life and Deer in the same group. Symbol and Maru in the like. There is, other than some new faces like our new hero in Group A. I think I'm pretty excited though for Group A. It's happening first, so I get to get my DRG hopes up and out of the way, and maybe continue on. But he's got Rain in that group, and Rain is a beast.
Yeah, I don't know. These are all pretty. I feel like these are all pretty well mixed.
Yeah,
I feel like there's juggernauts in every single group. Yeah, I can't call it on this one, dude. I'm sorry. I'm gonna cop out on you.
it's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna put it in. It's gonna be Group A, and when that's over, I'm gonna be looking at Group G with Deer, Dark, Yonghua, and Life.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm really excited for F, just because Mario is in there, and I've always enjoyed Symbol's play. I'd like to see what he's doing nowadays. Group B also parting one of the best Protosses in the history of StarCraft 2.
I'm not that familiar with Classic, LF Classic.
I'm not super familiar with him either. What team is he on? He's on SKT. I'm looking at his history here. Yeah, I am not super familiar with him either. He's a Pro League player, so.
Yeah, it looks like he hasn't actually been part of any events. Wow, that's incredible, man, to make it to Code S then as your first big event.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, if you're on a Kespa team, if you're playing in Pro League, you're no slouch. So.
Right, they all had their chance, and then they went through Code A. And let me just say how happy I am that we reversed this order for WCS, because it was mega lame to do the big Premier League and then go, and by the way, here's Challenger.
Yes, it makes way more sense.
I can actually get a little pumped. I'm interested to watch Challenger because then I can see these guys go on, and then I get the cake.
Yeah, and it's a direct feed. You know, the top players from Challenger go into Premier, or in this case, Code S, and it's linear and it makes sense and it's easy to follow. Keep doing it, Blizzard.
Yep.
Keep doing the stuff that makes sense. I appreciate it. So,
if I could give one critique here, I really wish they would leave the big posters they put up in the game client longer, because you log in, if something's live at that moment, boom, taking up your whole desktop, and it looks great, and there's an event listing, and IEM is there, but as soon as it stops being live, there's really nothing in the news that's sitting there that's going to inform you that this is an ongoing event.
Right. Okay, well, I'm excited. Wednesday can't come. Well, Thursday is when I'll actually be able to watch it because I have to work. But I can't wait for Thursday to get here.
Yeah, and it works out because we will be hot after watching that when we do next week's show.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Expect just a lot of GSL gushing on episode 181, guys.
And every episode, it's kind of our tournament of choice.
It is our tournament of choice, absolutely. I'm very, very excited for more GSL. So... emails, send them to starcastshow@gmail.com. We've got quite a few today. Our first email today coming to us from listener Cody, who said, "Hey guys, new to the podcast, heard of it from listening to Garrett on the Angry Chicken podcast. Woot, go vote for us. Go vote for us on the Blizzard Stream Awards, please. Love both of the shows. Keep up the good work. Basically, I decided to pick up StarCraft once again. I played as Zerg back in Wings of Liberty and was placed in gold. This time around, I chose Protoss and placed in bronze, which is fine. I was rusty. I hope I'm doing his inflection correctly.
I think you're spot on.
And learning a new race. Been playing pretty consistently for the last month. And yet I am unable to compete with the majority of Protoss and Terran players. Zerg, I have no problem with for some reason. I'm able to forge fast expand and hold off any early pressure with my amazing mothership core. And once I get the Colossus, it's GG. But in PvP and PvT, I'm having trouble. He said that he's constantly losing he's on a 8-game losing streak in bronze. Yeah, that's rough. He said he's hoping that we can give him any advice or tips to help. He was starting to think maybe Protoss was just bad versus Terran, but after listening to last week's episode, clearly it's the player. Okay,
well,
first off, what we were talking about last week was Grandmaster level, pro level matchup stuff.
Right.
Bronze League, anything goes. It really...
Right, so one of my first reactions is to say, go watch some pro players, check out what MC did in his PvP, and then I'm like, whoa, no. This is too much. And so my theory is since we're, kind of missing information, I wish I knew, like, what builds and what kind of units you were going for in your PvP and PvT. Right. But if you're doing so hot against Zerg and you used to play Zerg, it's probably because you know what's annoying, and Colossus are definitely really, really hard to deal with the Zerg. They're incredible. They melt Lings and Hydras and all sorts of things. And you probably have a great awareness of where your buildings go in those situations. Terran and Protoss are a lot different. And if you kind of place things and box it around, be like, ooh, I'm going to hide my cannon like behind my things here. That doesn't do so hot in situations with ranged units. Your Lings are just going to get completely schooled by like a single cannon sitting in your mineral line. They'll be confused. There'll be probes around. They'll go great.
Yeah, right. But absolutely, I think he should still check out MC's games. I mean, there's nothing to be lost there. Just I don't think he should necessarily be sitting there with a pen and paper taking down his build order beat for beat.
No, if anything, like, I felt really bad when I was playing against some of these bronze guys because they were really skilled. Like, a guy pushed out with a beautiful army against me, and this was a Protoss player. I mean, he had his 2 Colossus, probably about 8 Stalkers, and he was doing force fields. Like, it was pretty. He played it well, but I just had a phenomenal economy, and I saw it coming with a changeling and was ready by the time he got there. So really, in bronze, one of the simplest things you can do is create a lot of units and don't really care how fancy they are. You just need a lot of them in a good economy.
I'm still having a lot of issues with what we were talking about last week as a Terran playing against Protoss. I mean, it's really hard to stop them from getting that early expand because of their, whatever the hell that cannon's called. I always forget what it's called. Photon overcharge?
Yeah.
Like, get good with that. Get good with Time Warp. And you can freaking kite You get to finally kite Marauders as a Protoss with Time Warp.
But I think the more, like, the basic thing to really have for, and I'm sure there's a lot of you because you're either coming back or, hey, maybe you just picked up it because you played the arcade and you played that 1v1 OBS and you're excited to actually get in the league and now you're just kind of enjoying StarCraft for the first time. If you have the economy and you're spending your money well, it really doesn't matter what you make in the lower leagues. If you have a huge army of nothing but charge lots and Blink Stalkers, you are going to do phenomenally. In fact, hey, just get really good with Blink Stalkers and you are good to go. This guy last night, no reason for him to be doing such skilled force fields because I just had the numbers to overwhelm it. Now, if you want to get fancy, the way to beat Terran right now is absolutely High Templar, 100%. Those are hard to deal with. But drop play is what is dismantling Protoss right now. And if you got the feedbacks for it, and you got the storms for it, and even while you're getting there and the tech is doing, an Archon's going to help you out a ton against a drop. And the ability to warp in, where they just got to, all those sorts of things are how you counter Terran in the higher leagues.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully that helps Cody. I just want to hammer, just Time Warp this Terran to hell, because it sucks. I hate having it done to me. Concentrate on choke points and ramps. It's great. Brandon writes in. He says, what do you guys think of the current state of the in-game chat /group/clan system? I find even with the improvements through the numerous patches, it's still junk and pointless. StarCraft seems to be taking the quick routes and never finishing anything 100%. Then he gives some examples. He said the XP system that has hardly any rewards, pointless when you hit level 35 right now. You get portraits. It's not necessarily pointless. It's just also not necessarily exciting or make me give a crap.
Right.
A dozen arcade filters. Doesn't matter. People only play the first page of games. Yeah.
I still can't get over the fact that custom games is above... Actually, whenever I log in and I'm like, time to play multiplayer, I hit campaign because it's the top button. I go, whoops, and have to go out of that. And if I'm looking for an arcade game, I hit custom game, and then I have to go, whoops. So it is a bit of an unintuitive interface.
Yeah. Then he says paid arcade. I'm not sure what he says here. Does he mean lack of a paid arcade?
I think this is just, the back of the box dance studio kind of complaint.
Before Wings Liberty came out and they said they were going to have a map store.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Marketing esports more in game. I saw an MLG banner once. It would have been nice to see more promotion. I love it there. I saw it once. Never again.
I agree with this 100%.
This has been something that we've talked about on many, many, many episodes.
It's a little extra frustrating this week because, let me say I've really been enjoying Hearthstone, and it is a delight to play. But when we just got patch 2.1, and it's the super exciting thing, and, we want it to encourage esports and people to play this game, and the first advertisement in the middle of your screen is Hearthstone Beta Open. It's a little disappointing. If you're taking metrics, Blizzard, and this is like a contest, and you're like, we're going to release both at the same time, and then we're going to decide which one's the real esport, I guess I can see that strategy. But staggering those releases a bit would have been nice.
I didn't even think about that.
If you're just a WoW player and you're scrolling through your client and 2 games are now free to play, you're probably going to go with the new shiny. Okay.
All right, you're very right. I don't think Blizzard is pitting both games against each other to see what the real esport is.
The teams are probably so far removed from each other and just so excited to get this thing out whenever they can that it might have been coincidence. I highly doubt that my tinfoil hat theory has any ground.
Right. I think it was just timing. I personally feel like there's probably a large majority of the players are going to be more drawn to one than the other inherently.
Right.
Because
completely different.
I mean, if you're playing the Hearthstone beta, you now have the Battle.net client. And if you look at that, obviously what Blizzard wants is everyone to love all of their games. But while you and I we play everything Blizzard makes and we play it a lot and we love it. I don't know if that's the norm. I feel like most Blizzard fans, they have like their one flagship title, and then maybe they dabble in others here and there. But I don't think that because Hearthstone and StarCraft went open and free to play on the same week, that it was a massive detriment to one or the other. I feel like the stereotype. I feel like WoW players are inherently drawn to Hearthstone anyway, and even if Hearthstone hadn't gone open, but StarCraft was, I don't think a lot of WoW players would still have tried StarCraft one way or the other.
I agree.
So that's just my defense. This is my whatever the opposite of aluminum or tinfoil hat would be. I don't know. This is my actual hat counter to your whatever.
To my claim that these games are being pitted against each other, right. I agree that that's insane. But my disappointment remains that the primary bit of news mid-screen is Hearthstone Open Beta.
Right. And I do agree with that. We've kind of it's been I'm not gonna lie, and if you've talked to me while I was drinking at BlizzCon, you would have heard me just being like, Blizzard don't give a shit about StarCraft. There was nothing StarCraft at BlizzCon. I was so disappointed as a StarCraft fan at BlizzCon. Like it is hard. There's nothing fresh being brought to the game at the moment.
And at BlizzCon, we kind of wanted some more openness just from like some design panels and kind of what we're looking forward to in a Legacy of the Void, even if that's not in the near horizon or they even have that much figured out. The panel about Hearthstone and why they design things the way they do was extremely interesting, and I wanted that sort of treatment from David Kim. Instead, I still feel like, it's kind of an ivory tower situation.
Gotcha. Well, plus, it to us, from our limited information looking from the outside in, it looks like all the top guys at StarCraft are currently working on Heroes of the Storm, which I'm excited for. It's a great thing.
Which is his next point here, and StarCraft is an amazing game, and I love it, and they're going to make Heroes of the Storm an amazing game. But come on back, guys. Do you need everyone?
Hey guys, we're really sick of Marine and Widow Mines. Wanna do something about that? Just please.
Well, we're gonna. We have a Marine Widow Mine hero in Heroes of the Storm.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Ow.
Gotcha.
Actually, a Vulture hero would be kind of amusing, but
Yeah. Yeah. And this is just a flip coin. I'm not saying it's doom and gloom and StarCraft is dead. And you'll never hear those words leave my lips. Unless it's the day that I'm like quitting the show. I'm like, done. I'm done with this. This game is dead. I'm done with it. Walk away.
right. This is not the time to be like cutting your losses. I think
Right.
WCS has a lot still to show, and certainly we still have an expansion to go. A lot of this is discussion, and certainly we're not trying to do any sort of doomsaying
No.
here.
No, absolutely. We're just kind of commenting on this guy's email, which I think has a lot of good points.
And in fact, like just looking at a game that I want, Heroes of the Storm, I'm super excited that these guys that made a balanced game. I mean, whether or not you call it interesting or stale or whatever, the game is very balanced. And when you look at the 50%, 50%, 50% across the board, and then they're like, well, we do see like a 52.6%, and we might need to fix that. I'm like, okay, you guys got balance down. I'm not too concerned.
Right, exactly. And in a game where balance has to be asymmetrical 3 ways, it's awesome. And you're right. I'm very excited that working on Heroes of the Storm. I'm not sure who else I would want working on Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
So, anyways, thanks for your email, Brandon. It was really thought-provoking. Toby writes in and he said, "Hi, I'm listening to 179, and you were saying that a lot of people haven't seen any difference yet." I believe he's talking about league distribution. Mm-hmm. He said, "I'm happy to say that it took only 2 wins to get to Gold League after my many seasons in Silver. I agree with Garrett that leagues don't really matter, but it was really frustrating to know what I was getting better with, or that I was getting better without ever seeing the results." Cool. That's awesome. It's good to hear. And you ranked up this week at a bronze finally.
Yeah.
So that's good.
No, people are seeing it. Where is the... I got it hidden here somewhere. Oh, here we are under the block. Okay, cool. Here, let me throw this to you. But this is... Oh, no, that's the wrong one. I apologize. That is a list of winnings. Oh, man.
Kyle's sending me porn links like live on the show, guys. I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to distract you, you know?
Well, consider me distracted. You're doing a very good job.
I have lost my link, but it was the differences over the last 6 days that this has made. Oh, yes, it's the huge number of graphs. Here we go.
Huge number of graphs.
Okay.
Okay. Send it over.
So that's a Google Doc, and we'll have it in the show notes here. But this is the league changes since the patch went live. And you really do see some amazing changes here in the percentiles of people who are in here. So
I'm still looking at winnings. You sent the same link again.
Oh.
But just put it in the notes. I understand what you're trying to show me. I just can't see it.
Right. And this is thrilling radio, I'm sure.
I'm sure it is. I may go back and edit this out. I may not. I don't know.
Looking at graphs.
Looking at it. Dear God, numbers.
Either way, yeah, click the graph tab there at the bottom. But the numbers are going down. Since the patch came out, bronze was a 43% of all players. It has gone down to below 35% now.
Oh, wow. That's a big difference. Wow, yeah, look at this. And then everything else seems to be growing. Gold has spiked big time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm looking at a stock market chart or something.
It's thrilling. The majesty of charts.
Okay,
but
we'll have this link in the show notes. Yeah, this is awful radio.
Right, but every single league is growing huge. But like we said, the number of players has jumped from 75,000 to over 90,000 this past week. So things are going to be weird still.
Gotcha. Okay. James, for the final email from today with some random questions. He said, "Garrett, what is your favorite soundtrack to listen to while you work?" Soundtrack, does that mean like... I listen to a lot of bands, but soundtrack-wise, I've played the Tron Legacy remix album into oblivion and back.
Wow.
I know each bleep and bloop by heart.
Ooh. Kind of want to make you sing one.
No. Squirrel-boo-diddle-biddle-biddle-doo. Anyways, that, and I really like all of the Halo soundtracks. They're remarkably soothing, and they're just white noise at this point. And if I'm sitting there like doing some tablet painting in Photoshop, it's great. But a lot of times I flop around. It depends on what I'm working on. Lately, I've been working on a card game that I can't announce the name of, but it's very high fantasy. So I've been listening to like a lot of the Warcraft soundtrack and Lord of the Rings. So I'll listen to stuff that kind of matches whatever the theme of what I'm working on is.
I feel like every couple months I just go back and listen to the original Warcraft opening login song just for the nostalgia chills. Like, you got the remastered one where the monks are there and all, but I just mean kind of the janky one.
Oh, the vanilla one that was clearly made with like synthetic instruments.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Zelda's the same way. I mean, you listen to some, like, oh my god, the new music in the most recent Zelda is phenomenal, and it's not that much different from all the Zelda music you've ever heard. It's just the rearrangement is just great. But yeah, there's something about like turning on Ocarina of Time and hearing that specific recording of those songs.
When they got like maybe 14 notes to play with.
Right, exactly. So, yeah. So
I get really
that.
excited about, I love the Bastion soundtrack.
I have not played that game. It's funny. I don't think this has come up on A-Move Radio, but every time, for some odd reason, this comes up a lot when I talk to Ben, who's a host on another show we do called A-Move Radio. And he's just, every time he gets like aggro, like, how have you not played Bastion? So, yeah.
I haven't played it. I watched Kristen play through it all, though, so I had the experience secondhand. But that is some badass music. That and Faster Than Light has a really cool synthy kind of old-timey soundtrack.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But for movie soundtracks, I think the one I listen to the most right now is Pacific Rim, honestly. That thing gets me jazzed. Giant robot, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Like, I was just blown away. When a movie has like an actual theme song, I just get really like Pirates of the Caribbean. I was so surprised.
Is that's
at
Klaus?
The quality.
Klaus Bedett or something? I can never pronounce his name correctly. Klaus or something. Who did the original one? Yeah, Hans Zimmer did 2 and 3, but that you're thinking of the actual theme song. It was Klaus Bedett, I think. I can't pronounce his name right, but
it just instantly takes me back to the skepticism that I waited in line to see that movie with. And then leaving, going, oh my god, undead pirate fight in the moonlight. Lose my mind.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. And I actually enjoy the second and third one. The fourth one is a hot pile of crap. But I enjoy the other two. James also said, Kyle, what's the longest you have ever played games straight without sleeping?
Oh, I feel so responsible now. But the longest was definitely when I was in middle school. We convinced the computer lab director there, the guy, they always have that kind of closet nerd that the teachers kind of push out of the way when they do their lessons, but call back over whenever they're having printer trouble. But that guy was super into video games, so he would let us do lock-ins at the computer lab at my school overnight.
That's badass.
Oh, yeah, and AVP1 and Counter-Strike and that would have been Unreal Tournament 2000, just all night long with, like, American Pie 1 playing in the background and Aliens. And
oh, that's amazing.
Oh, yeah, those were all-nighters, and if you fell asleep, if you were the first one to fall asleep, you were just screwed for the whole night. You got drawn all over and eggs stuck in your hand, and you did not have a good time. If you could pass out when normally people were starting to feel it, like in that 6 a.m. range, you'd be okay. But I definitely pulled some all-nighters playing video games, and I still, I'm so busy during the week right now that I rarely get to play video games during a work day.
It's really sad, isn't it?
It is.
Make time.
It's disappointing, and I get on and play a game of Nexus Wars, and then I go, I should go to bed.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I totally Friday night, 3 a.m. is usually my sleep time, and that's just bouncing between games.
Yep. Yeah, same here. I think the longest I went was probably when Wrath of the Lich King, the World of Warcraft expansion, came out. I think I was up for like 2 days straight playing that. That was a big thing. Because like everyone, I was in college. I was in a house with a bunch of other guys who all played, so we kind of like we're all jacked about it. So.
Oh, sure. When you're, living with your best friends and we're all playing the same game, it's pretty easy to have all-night marathons. God, I remember the Super Smash Bros. Marathons that happened in college, but one of the things that is just one of my favorite memories was when I got my 2 roommates into Burning Crusade, and we were just having at it, and we were on like a 4-night-a-week raid team, and there was a period of time where every single one of us on our separate doors had a printed-out page and all the mats we needed for whatever our big item was. And it was just, if you got home, and if your homework was done, and even if it wasn't, you'd start checking off things and working for it and getting those motes of life or whatever they were, so I could make my alchemist stone.
Oh my God! Wow, you take that to a special level, Kyle.
I did.
Wow. All right. Well, thanks
Living
for
the dream.
Thanks for those fun questions, James. If you want to send fun questions or relevant questions like the first 3 emails we read, you can send them to starcastshow@gmail.com. We love hearing from you guys. Keep them coming. Before we end the show today, wanted to congratulate the winners of the barcraftapparel.com giveaway from last week. At Rathwort and at imp_sc2 on Twitter won last week's giveaways. They got a shirt and a bottle opener from barcraftapparel.com, and they're doing another giveaway this week. So all you have to do is tweet at barcraftapparel and at the StarCast. Make a tweet with those 2 accounts mentioned in there, and you'll be entered for a chance to win next week's giveaway. So big thanks to, choking on my words. Big thanks to barcraftapparel.com for this little contest they're going to be running for, I believe, the entire next 4 weeks straight or something. I think you said.
It would be amazing to end up at a Barcraft that had half the stuff they have on this website.
Yes, it would.
If everyone behind the bar was wearing like a Rainer whiskey T-shirt, I just love the Nidus tequila, but
Yeah, apparently their shirt's on the way for us.
Awesome.
I'm very excited to get mine. So there is that. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, StarCast is a production of amove.tv. You can find this and many other awesome shows like Amove Radio with Kyle and myself and our buddy Ben. Ben and I are going to be going into a Magic the Gathering tournament tomorrow night, so we're going to be talking a lot about that Monday. So stay tuned for that. You can also find the Angry Chicken, the Hearthstone show, over on amove.tv. And like I said, we're up for Blizzard Stream Awards under Best Community Channel 2013. I know it's not StarCast, but it's a show I do, and please go vote for it. I love you. You can find more about StarCast on amove.tv/StarCast. We record live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time over on twitch.tv/amovetv. Our VODs are on youtube.com/StarCastShow. Make sure you head over there and subscribe. I don't feel like I pimped the YouTube enough. It's there. We keep it updated. Subscribe to it. Our mobile live stream is provided by Alpha Geek Radio, so go to mobile.alphageekradio.com for that if you can't make the live Twitch and chat room feed. Also go to Indiegogo.com and support Alpha Geek Radio's studio upgrade, because they do this for free for us, and they could use some new stuff. You can email us at starcastshow@gmail.com. Our phone line, which you can leave a voicemail, we'll play it on the show and we will respond to it, is 941-882-0281. And you can continue today's discussions over at forum.amove.tv. Go register for the new Amove TV forum. I'm there. I read it every day. We can chat. Go over there. We're on Twitter at the StarCast. I am at Garrett Art. Kyle is at Kyle Ferguson. And finally, you can go to nomoonart.com for my graphic design portfolio. I am a freelance graphic designer when I'm not talking at you through a microphone about video games like you care. Go check that out and see if you need to hire me for something. Kyle, where can people find you?
You can also find me at Biggest Fan Podcast. And I had an absolute delight doing the God of War week. I love those games. A lot of plot holes, though. And the whole Pandora thing kind of fell flat in the end. I forgot how much I hated that. And those dogs that barf other dogs. and replicate themselves, and you have to kill the damn baby dogs before they turn to giant flaming dogs and barf other dogs. There's a lot to hate about that game. But I still love it, and I love Kratos. So that was an awesome episode. This next week, oh my goodness, I've forgotten. I forgot. I said I forgot last week, too.
Wonderful.
I forgot this week.
It should be Gears of War. You should go from one game with a completely empty main character to another game with a completely empty main character.
I don't own an Xbox, so I've never actually played Gears of War.
They're actually really fun. I enjoy them quite a bit. I haven't played the most recent one. I heard it was crap, but 1 through 3 are fantastic games.
I've heard it has some, some sort of classic escalation issues of a game that wasn't intended to have sequels originally.
2's the best.
So it's like the moon base is in trouble, the universe is in trouble, the galaxy is in like you just gotta keep making it bigger.
That didn't really happen. It never left the planet it started on, which was nice.
Now they're coming for Earth.
No, you're just thinking of Mass Effect.
Well, it was called Mass Effect after all.
True.
And it set it up. So
Okay, all right.
I can't hate on Mass Effect. I can't allow this to happen.
Dude, I love that series too. Don't get me.
Cowboy Bebop is what we're doing this next week.
I reminded him. Huzzah! We brought up a game that has to do with an awesome ragtag group of space rogues, and there you go. Love me some Cowboy Bebop. I'm actually wearing my Cowboy Bebop T-shirt. It's the swordfish, the spaceship from. It says swordfish, Bebop, hyperspace, intersolar system police.
How topical and on point and convenient.
Yeah, I love me some Cowboy Bebop. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, DogHouseSystems.com and TweakedAudio.com. Our code is StarCast. If you use that code, it'll get you this. It'll get you double memory on your next Doghouse Systems gaming rig. It's what I use. I love it to death. They're going to very soon have StarCast branded Doghouse rigs. As a matter of fact, was it Rathwort who also just won the Barcraft Apparel thing? I believe he just purchased a Doghouse system with our code, and they were like, hey, we're about to roll these out. We can send you one. So he got one early before they're available on the store, and it looks awesome. It's going to have the big StarCast logo that combines the Terran and the Zerg and the Protoss emblems all together into one.
Sweet.
Blasted on the side of this tower. It looks so sick. So go check out DoghouseSystems.com. That same code, StarCast, that'll get you 30% off and free shipping off of your entire order of earbuds from TweakedAudio.com, which Kyle and I both use on a daily basis, and we love them to death. And they're affordable. They're even cheaper with our code. You don't have to pay for shipping. You can use the code as many times as you want. They come with a lifetime warranty, and they support your favorite podcasts. It's a no-brainer. Go pick them up. It's no longer Christmas. I can't tell you can put them in a stocking, but I can't boss you around. You can put it in a stocking now if you want.
You know what? Roses do not grow this time of year. Give people Tweaked Audio earbuds, because that's insane. It's got to be a conspiracy, a made-up holiday by the Rose Corporation.
Yes, sure. And on that note, I'm going to end this episode before we dive too deep into Kyle's crazy tinfoil hat segment that I have.
I'm going to be eating so much chocolate the day after Valentine's Day. Chocolate Day, half off.
Yes, I call that stock up on Reese's Day. That's my favorite holiday.
You know, I have so many holiday M&Ms. Take advantage of all that.
Oh, yeah. So, anyways, thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next week for episode 181 of StarCast.
part of the Frog Pants Studios Network. For more information about this and other shows, visit frogpants.com. Audio program so good, it's like you're there.
Ooh.